I cannot call myself a big fan of large smartphones, therefore Galaxy Note line was never a honey trap for me, but this year Galaxy Note series are as tempting as never before. Welcome to Tech Fellas, my name is Bogdan, this is Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and let's tech into it. To begin with, a couple of words about the body. In addition to the incredibly beautiful color, Galaxy Note 10 Plus has a trendy bending shape. On the frame, a metal layer under the glass is almost invisible. It creates a feeling that the front and back almost touch each other. Also, there are changes in camera look. Previously the set had somewhat original position, but now it has shifted to the left and became vertical, which is the same style everyone has. There are no heart rate sensors anymore. You can buy Samsung fitness tracker and sync the data with the phone. One may claim Samsung is greedy, but actually is the heart rate feature in smartphones is so important in times of wearable devices? Also, say goodbye to iris recognition, headphone jack that, as company says, helped to release a space for additional 100 mAh of battery capacity, and to the power button. The common one is just gone. Wake up and lock functions are concerned around the button to the left side, which also enables Bixby Assistant. To turn off the phone, you will need to either use software button in the notification bar or holding the mentioned key together with the lower part of volume rocker. Honestly, that sucks. Let it manage all the possible functions. I'm fine with this. Apple did the same and everyone's happy, but to hell with that awkward positioning. I definitely do not fancy that. Selfie camera is still a hole punch, but this time it's in the middle of the top of the screen. Personally, I see no big advantage if to compare with the notch one, however the look is a bit cooler, so my thumbs up for it. What's definitely pleasurable is the thinnest frame of the screen. Long time ago people could only imagine or draw something like that in 3D Max. Now we can actually feel this awesomeness in our hands. The mentioned front camera also recognizes your face and unlocks the phone. Pretty snap, I have to admit, but not the Cloud 9. The same I must say about the fingerprint reader. Its speed is frankly not bothering for me, but we face the in-screen fingerprint scanners that did their job way faster. By the way, the sensor is easily seen in the bright sun, but only if you are specifically looking for it, so it won't create any problem. Usual as it is, one of the trump cards of Samsung smartphone is a screen. This one is 6.8 inches dynamic AMOLED with Quad HD Plus resolution and reduced amount of blue tints, full DCI-P3 coating, HDR10 Plus support, and crazy brightness of 1200 nits at final. Damn, that sounds good! In practice, the screen is nice indeed. The only thing that is not perfect is the itchy place of every OLED display, PWM, and bluing with greening upon tilting. I'm glad that the first one is relatively gentle here, so I didn't have to rub my eyes all the time, and the second flaw is hardly noticeable. At least it's much weaker than in many other screens of this family that you will meet today in every smartphone for more than 300 bucks. But getting back to our screen, it can be adjusted and the settings for that become easier year by year. I think it's nice. Among the features, there's increased sensitivity mode for using device with glows and always on display that is highly customizable according to your preferences, both from aesthetic side and in terms of brightness and working time. Moving on, it wouldn't be Galaxy Note if screen features ended on that point. Smartphone knows how to deal with S Pen stylus and understands the hell of a wide range of pressure variations. This tiny baby can write you notes almost everywhere, take screenshots and translate the text. Even in times of Galaxy Note 8, the list of S Pen functions would deserve a separate video, so I won't be broad about it now, but will point out main changes of this year. The stylus itself has become better, as in the previous generation both smartphone and stylus have liquid and dust protection according to the IP68 standard, but this time S Pen has been pumped up in a battery life. It fully charges inside the smartphone in 6 minutes and works up to 10 hours being outside. There is now a gyroscope inside the S Pen that included gestures to its function list. The most convenient and necessaries for me are the one that play with camera. This stylus now can take the full control of it and can be useful when shooting with tripod or a selfie stick. Not all of these gestures are easy easily taken from the first ride, for example zoom in, is still a mystery for me. Sometimes it works, but more often it doesn't, although switching modes and lenses is a piece of cake. You can also transform writing text into its typed copy. Overall, that feature works fine, and even the curvy handwriting can be clearly recognized. However, with punctuation marks, things are not so smooth. You never know what might turn up, but the full stops and hyphens are the only marks that smartphone absolutely always understands. I must say it's interesting and even useful one, especially when making subscriptions on some picture, but still a swiping keyboard is the fastest way of doing that, so that separate technology in my humble opinion won't be in high demand. During making a clip with S Pen, you can now draw something in augmented reality mode. Looks fun and cool from the first sight, but that software still needs polishing because drew objects are jumping all around the screen and it's so childish. On the other hand, it's been a long time since S Pen features included coloring books. That has become pretty nice thing, and it's clear that Samsung wanted to push this kid-demanded feature further. All that stuff is powering up by, in our case, Exynos 9825 chipset with 12 gigs of RAM and either 256 or 512 gigs of storage. It's pretty weak as for 2019, however, you can expand the storage with microSD card. As for the dealing with tasks, we have no questions to the smartphone when it's in the performance mode. By the way, all benchmark and throttling tests were made exactly in this mode that brings really high speed in software and smoothness in games. One big flaw here is heating, because it takes just a couple of minutes of shooting pictures or writing notes to get 40-43 degrees of the body. It feels warm even when the phone is laying standby. In games, you guess, temperature of the body gets higher than ever. The optimized mode made us less happy. Device starts slowing down in light apps like Instagram, as well as in the whole system itself. It's especially noticeable if you wake the phone up after a long nap. What's really fun, while testing games, such naked lack of gigaflops has no effect on the performance. For example, World of Tanks Blitz heats the phone up to 40 degrees but still shows no lags. Gamers are happy, and we are moving to the battery. Despite pretty big 4300 mAh capacity, the battery life of Galaxy Note 10 Plus doesn't impress. The system is very hungry on energy, and more than 24 hours I could get only when smartphone's main task was showing always on display for half of a day. In most of the time I had to charge the phone every morning and then in the afternoon. For instance, when we tested games and benchmarks, performance mode made it last for not more than half of a day and even less. As for regular cell phone communication and data transfer, I must admit things were better in the past. Taking that the phone is good in calls and Bluetooth module also works quite nice, better than in Apple by the way. Wi-Fi is a little disappointing because it's relatively okay in receiving and transferring signal comparing for example with new Honor smartphones, and are close to something that we see in Apple. I've also become quite disappointed with its NFC. Whether it flows off our sample or not, the connection didn't catch quickly enough with payments in subway or in a mall. In both cases I created a queue, so 30-40 seconds of system response may hardly drain your time. Speaking of the sound, it will remain unknown for me because we haven't got neither branded USB headset nor special Type-C adapter to mini jack. So what's the problem, will you ask? The passive adapter is kinda an alien to Galaxy Note 10 Plus, no signal upon any connection attempt. At least smartphone has two speakers, the front-facing one leaves behind almost unseen gap, but it brings such high volume that it's almost comparable with multimedia one. That results in so powerful and decent stereo sound that many smartphones of A brands only dream about. Now about cameras, photos here are nice and crisp but not as fantastic as was expected. Daytime pictures look good, but even here the post-processing makes photos way less realistic. Auto HDR tries hard but turns on mostly only when shooting with contre-jour. In all other cases, software thinks that it can handle all by itself, which is not. Colors are saturated as we got used to, white balance is more or less well set. Also, the camera aggressively fights noise, that's why under bad light conditions photos look kinda pastel. Dynamic range is wide but not that mighty. The mentioned enhancements is sometimes needed here. Let's turn off the lights and speak about the night mode. This time Koreans put some strange brains into the system. Camera thinks too long capturing photos, and the best of them are made with wide angle and telephoto lens. Selfie selfies at night come out just okay and far from being awesome. Super wide angle is only good for losing focus, and close-ups with main camera are not worthy, you can clearly see why. Interestingly, auto mode during shooting at night turns out very helpful. In any case, photos taken in that way are better than in a special night mode. At least the clarity of the picture is one level above, but I must admit that overall details are fine in both cases. In general, I recommend choosing auto shooting mode, it's faster and more effective. During the day, selfie camera does its job perfectly, it's not afraid of difficult shooting conditions, even if we put it in those situations intentionally. Highlighted foreheads are the toughest things that we could achieve looking for flaws. Camera shoots videos in 4K with stabilization, however making a significant crop on the frame. I hope it's clearly seen on the example. The clips from the main camera are also pleasing with southwest stabilization, and the picture in general doesn't provoke for big complaints. One little thing that is bothering is not very smooth switching between lenses, however the clarity is high and exposure doesn't jump all around. There's a super stabilization mode that is frankly useless if you are not using it while doing sports, because the video quality drops a couple of stages down, and in reality there is no difference between this and stock stabilization. While shooting, you can now turn on the bokeh and focusing on the sound source. Check out how it works right now. What is up, guys? Right now we are testing the sound capturing features of Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So right now you basically have the chance to see how basically this stuff works. Yeah, and right now the cameras goes away from you, but you feel what is happening right now. There are actually flies flying everywhere, but I hope they are not bothering you. Speaking of software, the most delicious thing about it is S Pen features that I've told you about before. Otherwise, we meet the typical One UI firmware, heavy, bulky and not light and fast. Looking from the price corner, Galaxy Note 10 Plus doesn't have many direct competitors. These are mostly the current flagships of companies, but not any of them is offering a useful stylus that in our opinion is the best feature of that device and the main reason for buying it. Summarizing all this stuff, I cannot call the newest Galaxy Note flagship the best smartphone of 2019. Its lacking headphone jack, fast fingerprint reader and face recognition, has not even close to the record-breaking battery life and unstable performance. There's questionable camera and highly uncomfortable power button, and currently the most expensive Android smartphone on the market. Anyway, the links to the stores where you can buy Galaxy Note 10 Plus will be waiting for you in the description box below. And if you like this video, then why not to support our channel by subscribing to it, hitting the like button and ringing the bell to stay tuned for more cool content. My thanks for watching and cheers!